Hello adventurers and welcome back to my channel. Have you ever wanted to do something kind of cool but thought you couldn't travel, or you maybe couldn't travel as much as you'd like to, so you wanted to try to do something a little bit closer to home? Well, today I have something for you. If you celebrate the holidays, be it fall or Halloween or whatever, and you have accessibility to a pumpkin, today we're going to learn from an expert as to how to carve that pumpkin and make it special. You don't have to make it have a creepy face. You can do all sorts of beautiful things. And today I'm going to show you a master carver sharing some of his techniques. I think this is going to be a little bit of a different kind of video, but I think you'll like it. And afterwards I'm going to show you some of the things that you can actually carve that this man himself has carved at a very exciting place. So check out these tips and let me know if you've ever carved a pumpkin in the comments below. Leave a little pumpkin emoji.
Hello. Hey, I'm on. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Everybody happy?
Yeah.
Good. It's good to be happy in Silver Dollar City. There's so many cool things around here. There's so many pumpkins around here. Did you know how many pumpkins are around here?
16,000.
16,000 pumpkins. There's about 3,000 or 4,000 of them that are carved. I wish I knew the more exact number, because a variance of 1,000 is a lot. But I know that I carved 700 of them. So about 1 out of every 5 pumpkins is what I carved. So that's kind of fun, seeing my work around here. And now that the sky is going to start to get dark, the pumpkins are going to glow even more. It's going to be beautiful. See how the trees over here are colored with the green lights and the blue lights? It's gorgeous at nighttime. And sometimes the fog from Foggy Hollow kind of wafts over the railroad tracks, and it's just this misty kind of romantic looking place. So I'm glad you're here. Well, I'm going to tell you some stories and show you some stuff about how to carve pumpkins. It could be interesting, but at least it's short. Now you've been here a couple times before, yeah? At least once. Well, you could do this whole thing. Come on up here. She was telling me all the secrets when we were standing back there. Like, you are a good listener. So, she just listens to me? Now, maybe if you had a funnel cake, you'd change your mind a little bit. All right, well, my name's Barry Brown. I'm from Denver, Colorado. And when I was a little kid, I came from this spooky little town north of Denver called Erie, Colorado. It was a tiny town. It had a street. It was paved and everything. Little blinky stoplight at the intersection. You ever seen one of those towns? It was surrounded by pumpkin fields, so make of that what you will. I graduated from the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley, just about an hour north of there, with a degree in voice and theater. So naturally, I'm a pumpkin carver. Yep. I went to Denver after school and oh, I see the fog coming in. Do you see it? The mist is starting to come from Foggy Hollow. I went to Denver to start doing shows. My second professional show, I earned $10 a show. Watch out now. Here I come, $10 a show. So I was looking for something extra to do, and I came into a grocery store. I saw the very first ever pumpkin carving kit. There never had been a pumpkin carving kit before. Little saws and drills and patterns. Who has never seen a pumpkin carving kit? Really? 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 Wow. That's more than like the whole day. Usually almost everybody has seen a pumpkin carving kit. So welcome. You are cordially welcome to learn about these little pumpkin carving tools. I was very excited because I'd never had anything like that before. All I had was my mom's paring knife that she peeled potatoes with to try to carve a pumpkin with. But those little saws and drills and patterns, that was exciting. Even more exciting than that was the contest they had on the outside of the cover. You could win $1,000 if you got national grand prize. That's a lot of shows. So I figured I'd see if I could get that prize. I carved a pumpkin and took a picture, sent it into the contest, and I won a prize. And I learned that the pumpkin carving kit came from Denver, Colorado. I could not believe it. My backyard. That was amazing to me. Well, the next year I got a job as an entertainer on a cruise ship. Have you been on a cruise before? Yeah? Did you bring your Oh, you didn't have carving tools. Well, I brought mine with me because they go everywhere I go. And it was the fall part of the year. I bought a pumpkin in Florida for $14. That's what they sell them for down there. They're pretty proud of those pumpkins. That's like a show and a half. But I got to get a pumpkin, so I carved it in my cabin, took a picture with my film camera. You guys never heard of a film camera before. Do you know what a film camera is? You have a film camera? That's pretty amazing. So I sent those pictures into the contest, and they awarded that pumpkin national grand prize, $1,000. And boy, my car was happy because it broke down in Florida. I had to use that money to repair it to get back to Colorado. They say the Lord works in mischievous ways. So back in Denver, I was doing a show, and a couple came up to me after the show, and they said, "Hey, you're our pumpkin guy." Well, that was Mr. and Mrs. Carving Kit. They just so happened to come to my show. Yeah, it was amazing to me. Just so happened. My mom says just so happened means it's a God thing. So they invited me to come work with them at the Pumpkin Carving Kit Company. So I did. In their basement. It was a mom and pop operation. Mom and pop and me. My desk was in their laundry room. But 8 years later, we grew the company to the size we covered a floor and a half of a downtown Denver high-rise building. And I was flying all over the country to carve pumpkins for the Today Show in New York and the Tonight Show in California, and all different kinds of television shows and talk shows and news programs, papers and magazines, anything you can get a pumpkin on. I even carved a pumpkin for the mayor of New York way back when, and they blew it up to 40 feet tall on a billboard in Times Square. That was pretty amazing. I carve pumpkins for movies. You ever seen The Santa Claus with Tim Allen? Yeah? Do you remember seeing a pumpkin carving scene in that movie? No. Because they cut my scene from the movie. Pumpkin cutting.
Did you get paid for it?
No. I flew up to Toronto with the pumpkin on my lap. That's where they were filming. And it was our very last pumpkin. It was April. I had wrapped it in 3 layers of bubble wrap. I carried it like a baby because, it was our only pumpkin. And then I carved it up there, and they didn't include my scene. That's showbiz. Well, I did carve the pumpkins for the movie Hocus Pocus with Bette Midler. So if you see those little carvings in that movie, that was me. Well, before we get to carving, I want to tell you about drilling. Who's ever done pumpkin drilling? Yeah? How did it go for you? Not real well? Oh, well, it sure is fun. Someday I want to do a power tools only pumpkin carving party. I think I'll have to get some raincoats out and just let her fly. But these are the tools I use, these little hand drills. This is how you do it. Got to find an empty place. Well, let's do it up here. You put the point in, and then you turn it like you're tightening a screw. Boy, this pumpkin didn't have much pumpkin left. Somebody said it looks like you're sharpening a pencil, those little shavings coming out of there. Look, pumpkin holes. Yay! Well, thanks for coming to the show, everybody. It's great. If you look back here, there's some pumpkin carvings on these lamp posts. Little drill hole pumpkins. Some of these, their little candle went out, so we got to get those repaired. But you'll see them all up and down the park, these little drill hole pumpkins. There's some drill hole pumpkins up here on the Frisco Freightway and down there at the Echo Hollow entrance. And at 5:30, when they open the gates at Pumpkin Plaza, there's happy faces and drill hole pumpkins and swirly notes and all kinds of lights spilling out over there. I just love that arrangement because you could set that out anytime during the fall. It's not just a one-night thing. You could put that out on homecoming or Thanksgiving or Tuesday, whatever you like, because it's just a great expression of the fall. And I think those drill hole pumpkins are a great expression of why pumpkins are carved in the first place. At least why I carve pumpkins, so that the light will shine in the darkness. That's why I carve pumpkins, so the light will shine in the darkness. So drill hole pumpkins, yay, those are fun to play with. Okay, let's do some carving. I'm gonna give you the 3 secrets of pumpkin carving. You ready? Are you ready? You gonna do some banana carving? There you go, you started already. The first secret of pumpkin carving is carve in your lap. That's the first secret. It always makes me nervous to watch somebody chase a roly thing around a table with a knife in their hands. So, I saw this video the other day. This girl had never carved a pumpkin, and she had one of those Cricut machines that you cut the kind of vinyl stuff, and she said, it's a great way to carve pumpkins. So she puts her vinyl on the thing, and then she takes a knife by the knife, not even by the handle, and she's trying to, like where her other hand is like this, and she's trying to, and I'm just like, honey, baby, Jesus, take the wheel. This ain't how you do it. Got all mama hen on her. All right, this is how you do it, kids. Carve in your lap. Could you say that with me? Carve in your lap. Your shirt's making me crack up. That's a horrible idea. What time? The time is now, pumpkin carving time. So when you traditionally open up a pumpkin, you take off the top. That's what that girl is trying to do with that crazy knife. I just couldn't believe it. Well, I like to have the pumpkin all one piece. I think that's a better look to it. And if the stem is still green and strong, like see this one's not strong anymore, that means it's still giving life to the pumpkin. So that'll help the pumpkin last a little bit longer. Well, I open the pumpkin from the bottom. It's just big enough for my hand to fit through. I cut half the circle, and then I cut that piece in half and I push it in. It's like drawing a capital D, yeah? And then I carve around the other half and I pull that piece out. If you can imagine, I cut the whole thing and then push it in and try to get it out with my hand. I think I'm gonna get my hand stuck trying to get it out of there. My little punky's having a problem. I have one more place to carve here. So if you do that half and half method, your hand's not gonna get stuck. That's a good way to do it. Now, when it comes to cleaning out your pumpkin, this is the tool to use. I've seen some people today in my shows, they just start pulling out with their hand. Does anybody do it that way?
Yes.
You just grab it with your hand? Oh my goodness, that is a slimy mess. Who uses a spoon to clean out their pumpkin? Yeah, a spoon, lots of spoon people. Well, the thing about this is it fits all the way inside the pumpkin. It's a good, strong, sturdy tool. It's like an old ice cream scoop. We shorten the handle and flatten the top so it fits all the way inside and you can really scrape. It took me 47 seconds to clean out this pumpkin. And then it all just kind of balls up in a big ball and then it falls out in a clump. So it's not that big of a deal, not very messy. The other thing about the scraper scoop is you can thin down the wall of the pumpkin that you're carving. Just the face of the pumpkin, you thin it down to about 1 inch and that'll help you carve a little bit more safely. If it's too thick, it's too thick and that'll be harder to carve. But if it's thinner, it's easier and that's safer. So scraper scoop, good deal. Now, the next thing is to put on your pattern. What's cool about pumpkin carving is you don't have to be an artist. The artwork is already done. You just follow along with the technique and your pumpkin is gonna look great. So get a pattern, cut off all the pieces of paper that you don't need, put a piece of tape at the top and the bottom and both sides, then you tape it on there. And then see where it kind of bubbles in between the tape? If you just carefully fold that down and tape it, you have little folds all the way around your pattern, and that helps your artwork lay down nice and tight against your pumpkin. The next tool is this transfer tool. It's a little metal pokey thing. The grocery store kits have little plastic bendy things, but this is a metal pokey thing, and only responsible people get to use this tool, like 3 and 4-year-olds. Yeah, like you? Well, they developed it for these little kids at the Montessori school. They do a craft called poke art. And they poke along the design lines like we do. We poke through the paper into the skin of the pumpkin, and that transfers the design onto the pumpkin. For little kids, it helps them with their manual dexterity and their hand-eye coordination. So that helps them learn how to use a pencil or a crayon and write their name. A developmental tool for kids. If you're as responsible as a 4-year-old, you can use this tool, okay? All right, then I pop off my tape and I carefully save my pattern to refer back to when I'm carving. Sometimes it's a little hard to see what's going on with the dots on my pumpkin. So I look back at my pattern. Do I carve through that part or don't I? It's a really good tool to save. The other thing you could do is take a ballpoint pen and draw it back in dot to dot. And that's kind of a fun game to play while you're playing with pumpkins. The other thing is a magic trick. If you take a little bit of flour and shake it on your pumpkin and then you rub it into those holes, you really rub it in. You fill the darkness with light. It's another fun thing to talk about with pumpkin carving. You fill up those little dark holes with flour. It turns them from dark to white in just a second like that, and then you can see your transfer holes better. Okay, second secret of pumpkin carving. It's like this, straight up and down. That's the secret, straight up and down. Would you say that with me? Straight up and down. The saw is strong when it's straight up and down, but it's bendy when it's sideways. It's just a little thin piece of metal, and it will break if you break it. Yeah, isn't that something? So straight up and down is the strongest way. So if this is the part of the pumpkin that I'm carving, I'm not going to carve over here like this. I'm going to rotate my pumpkin till that's at the very top of the pumpkin. I call it the North Pole. I'm always carving at the North Pole so I can carve straight up and down. Okay, here's a piece of pumpkin that hasn't been carved yet. So I'm going to carefully insert my saw.
and down.
Straight up and down. I mean, you can't just go, hi-ya! Unless you have 10,000 hours of pumpkin carving experience and can call yourself a pumpkin nerd. I mean, a master pumpkin carver. Okay? You carefully insert your saw straight up and down, and then you just practice. Don't try to saw yet, just go up and down. See, my fingers are gentle, my wrist is gentle, my arm is gentle. It's a very gentle process. The thing about these saws is they're made in Missouri, coated with Teflon for maximum lubrosity. It's a fancy word, that means they're slick. They're all then assembled back in Colorado, just a few miles from where I grew up, with these nice, long, strong handles. Love these tools. So, straight up and down. Now I'm going to saw forward. I'm just going to saw right through those little transfer holes that I'm doing, almost like sawing dot to dot. I'm going to use all the teeth in my saw. If I go like this, that means I'm using one tooth on my saw, and that's not how saws work. Or if I'm using all my strength, it's just a little thin piece of metal, and it will break if you break it. So you want to be very, very careful. I love that pumpkin carving can help me practice my skills of patience and gentleness, and even a skill called finishing. Those are good things to practice as we're carving pumpkins. Now you might, third secret of pumpkin carving. You ready? Don't try too hard. That's the third secret. Don't try too hard. Would you say that with me? Don't try too hard. Yeah, it's a gentle process. So once you finish a piece of carving, you might feel like pushing it in with your saw. But that's not good for the saw. And besides, the outside of the pumpkin is bigger than the inside. What happens when you take a big thing and push it through a little thing? It could break, it could get stuck. No bueno. That's what they say. So you put your hand inside and you wiggle it up and down to make sure it's carved all the way through. If it doesn't wiggle, it's not ready yet. You don't want to force it. It's gentle. So if it's stuck, you recarve that little place, then you push it up and out with your finger. Aww, I heart pumpkin. And just pop it back inside. I carve all my pieces, I put them inside, and when I'm all done, I just shake it out over the trash, and then I'm ready to display my pumpkin. I like that little pumpkin. Little sleepy punky. So I put my pumpkin on a plate. It is a piece of food after all. If I set it right on the concrete tends to wick moisture away. If I put it on a plate, that'll help it last a little bit longer, like 2 or 3 days. If you light it with a candle, you know how it burns that little spot inside? If you carve around that and take it out, that's like a chimney. And then the heat will go more up directly through the chimney than out through the carving. And that'll help your pumpkin last a little bit longer, 2 or 3 days. I light my pumpkins with an electric light and an LED light bulb because that's safer, more energy efficient, and it's cooler inside the pumpkin, and that'll help it last a little bit longer, 2 or 3 days. It's like the other half of my sandwich. I'm not just going to leave it out on the porch all night. I want to eat it tomorrow. When you want to save it, you want to wrap it in plastic and keep it somewhere cool, and that'll help it last a little bit longer. One of the guests was coming up and saying, I'm carving with my 4-year-old this week. What do we do? And I said, well, just carve as long as you enjoy it, and then wrap it in plastic and put it in the fridge, and then get it out when you're ready to carve again. Because it's like food. It'll last for a little bit longer if you wrap it up in plastic and keep it in the fridge. So, let's review the secrets of pumpkin carving, okay? What's the first secret? Carve in your lap. You know these. What's this one? Straight up and down. And what about the third one? Don't try too hard. There you go. You guys are doing great. Well, let me tell you a quick story before we go. In Colorado, when it rains, it goes like this. Psht, and about 5 minutes later, the roads are dry. But not in Missouri. No. When I was here 5 years ago, one day it rained all day long, like really hard rain, rivers of water coming down these sidewalks. I'd never seen anything like it before. It was so wet they couldn't turn the electricity on in my booth. And so there I was in my little dark booth with my little dark pumpkins, waiting for guests to come by in the rain. And 2 guests came by. The owners of Silver Dollar City. Jack and Sherry Hershen come up over the rise with their raincoats on, and they came in the rain to encourage us. And boy, did that send a message. Sherry said, would you carve a pumpkin for a friend of mine and put Matthew 5:16 on the pumpkin? Anybody remember what that verse says in the Bible? I had to look it up. It goes like this. Let your light so shine that others see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. I sure hope that's what all these pumpkins out here do. I hope that's what this pumpkin does. And now that you all are junior pumpkin carvers, you can practice shining your light too. Would you hold up your thumbs like this and wave them around?
As you can see, guys, it's pretty awesome. There were some great tips there. And again, I'm about to show you all of the cool pumpkins as we close out this video. Remember, guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. A good time doesn't mean that you have to go somewhere far or spend a lot of money. It could mean that you just find a humble little pumpkin and have a little fun in your spare time doing something a little bit different. Till next time, bye.